And another week's flown by. I'm Marty T Hawkins with Warehouse and Operations as a Career, and I appreciate you listening in again today. Over the last several weeks, we've been talking about the many different positions or different tasks in the warehouse. I want to thank everyone that's been sharing their experiences with the group, sending in your questions. I'll make sure that we get all those answered as soon as we can. You know, last week we talked about the putaway position, so naturally, I was leaning towards its opposite, or the replenishment task today. You know, we've done a lot of talking about the inbound jobs the last couple episodes, so replenishment will be a really good segue into the outbound shifts. Okay, the task of replenishment is another great opportunity with the forklift. It's an outbound task, meaning we're working with the shipping side. Order selectors, loaders, transportation. As we've learned, inbound is all of the receiving and storage tasks, and outbound is the shipping positions. In the larger distribution facilities, our outbound jobs may be on the second or third shifts. I always enjoyed working the outbound jobs. You come in, you know the case counts and the number of loads, and you just can get after it, wrap it up, and go home. I always joked that when we leave after our shift, there's nothing to carry home with us. Nothing we have to worry about, or nothing was left undone until the next day. When that last door closed, everything was done. There's no do-overs on that shift. You learned early on not to have errors on the outbound side. You know, errors, that's a whole show on its own. Anyway, we've been kind of walking through each task, so let's start there as well for the replenishment job. Of course, we're going to arrive early. Attendance is even more important on these shifts. We've got product to ship, and it'll take all of us to get it accomplished. So we're going to show up a little early, get dressed with any required PPEs or our personal protective equipment. We're going to punch in. Ladies and gentlemen, that's an important step. That's how we get paid. I believe that you can say that that's really our first responsibility of the shift. You know, we've talked a few weeks ago about how hard it is for our supervisors or the payroll department to fix our errors when it comes to missed or incorrect punches. Kind of got off subject there. So next, we'll probably head back to the equipment area and pick up our forklifts. Anyone want to guess what we should do next? I'm sure we all said our pre-trip equipment report, right? With us all being experienced equipment operators, as typically the replenishment position is going to require that experience, we know it's going to be a rule. We've already learned about the 29 CFR 1910.178 standard here in the States, and know that as equipment operators, we're responsible for checking out all the safety aspects of our equipment before operating it. Now, next, we're off to our startup, pre-shift or safety meeting, so we can do a little stretching, get those muscles warmed up and the blood flowing a bit. This is where we'll probably talk about our case counts. Maybe some people will get their aisle assignments, and the supervisor can share maybe last night's productivity and errors with us. As we've learned, the outbound or shipping shifts are generally going to be based on pure productivity and safety. You know, a whole lot of equipment will be running around. People are going to be working, selecting, counting, and replenishing just a few feet from each other. I typically find most positions can be paid out by the piece or the pallet or even the load, depending on the task. Now, I truly hope we never put productivity ahead of safety on any shift, but especially on this one. We'll all need to work as a team to get the job done and all leave without an incident. Alright, from here we'll probably head to our aisles. Oh, one more thing about our startup meeting. Let's all be sure to speak up and participate in them. You know, getting noticed by our management team is what we're after, right? We want to be that person that's on their mind. We want to show them that we're involved. They need to know we're after that next step or that promotion. Okay, so we've headed to our assigned aisles now. You know, if we're at a smaller facility, our task may be to just go start restocking all the pick slots. We'll be taking products and pallets down from the reserve and storage locations and filling up all the pick slots for the selectors. Now our job is to keep them filled so the selectors never arrive at an empty slot. That can really slow the whole operation to a halt. That can also be an opportunity for errors. If the selector has to come back later to grab a case that wasn't there the first time around, it may never make it back to the rest of that order, creating a short on truck. In the larger facilities, we could be working with a WMS or warehouse management system. We may have either a handheld RF scanner or a forklift mounted unit that can actually direct us to the next reserve location to grab a pallet and replenish a particular pick location with it. Now you're going to love these systems. They'll keep us one step ahead of all the selectors. I loved them because they'll help keep our productivity up. And if we're on a pay-by-piece or pallet program, they're making us more money as well. So as a quick example, our WMS will show us a list of locations that we'll be needing to grab over the next few hours. Now we might have a little discretion as to when we drop each one of them, but it'll be important that we stay ahead of our selectors. So we'll choose one from the screen, travel to that location, scan the slot's barcode or the pallet tag, and confirm that we've lifted it, and carry it to the pick slot. Some operations will have the order selector pull the empty pallet from the location for us replenishment drivers. That kind of makes it easy for us if we're right on time, but usually, because we'll be trying to stay just a little ahead of the selectors, we'll need to get off the lift, maybe grab the last couple of boxes, place them to the side, pull the empty pallet and place it out of our way. Now we can get back on the lift, place our full pallet of product in the pick location, scan that location, or maybe scan the pallet tag confirming that we've completed that replenishment. Add our couple of cases that were left to the other pallet and grab that empty pallet to stack it with our others. That all sounds like a little more work than our counterpart on the inbound side, doesn't it? They have some pretty physical aspects to their task too. But I believe we do stay a little more active than the first shift. We'll need to keep those locations filled for all the order selectors. That's the only way our loaders can get those orders loaded on the trucks and the drivers get dispatched. There is a lot more action on the second or third shifts. That's where we'll be utilizing more powered equipment and more bodies to get the job done. Safety has to be our number one priority on this shift. We'll be working closely with selectors on pallet jacks, loaders on the docks, maybe even inventory control or quality control in the aisles. We kind of have to be the enforcers of the safety rules. Don't let anyone get too close to our lift areas. Make them stay back. Don't let them dart underneath our lifted pallets either. It's really our responsibility as the operator. Oh, and we have to make sure we place those pallets properly in the racks and slots too. We don't want anyone getting hurt because of a poorly placed pallet. Before we know it, all the slots have been replenished, all the orders have been pulled, and the trucks are loaded out and the docks doors are closed. This is when we'll carry our forklift back to the staging area, plug it in if it's an electric unit, or turn off our fuel bottle if it's propane. Now, I myself always completed a post-trip equipment report. It wasn't required at my facility, but I wanted to document any scratches or lack thereof, things like that. I just kept my own little file. As always, we need to document anything out of the ordinary operationally with our equipment. If it's not right, don't drive it. I was asked after last week's show on the putaway position which forklift task is better, replenishment or putaway. I honestly believe that they're two different opportunities. If you've listened to all of our shows, you know how I feel about the second shift. I loved working it. You spend less money and can typically earn more money. I think if our goal is to take advantage of every opportunity and advance within the industry, we'll need to have an understanding of how the outbound or night shift works, its duties, and the only way to get that is by spending some time there. The replenishment position will definitely hone our forklift skills. We'll learn how to work closer with others, and I promise you'll learn how to be productive. Cut out any wasted travel time and better use your movements to be more efficient. The put-away position will teach us the inbound side of things, how the product is brought into the warehouse. I don't feel one is any better than the other. I think we need them both. We'll need those experiences to advance and meet our goals. Well, there's a little on the replenishment task. Visit our Facebook and Twitter feeds using that little @ WHSEANDOPS and share your thoughts or experiences with the groups. And as always, feel free to shoot us an email to host@warehouse-and-operations-as-a-career.com with any questions, comments, or topics that you'd like us to talk about. Until next week, please look before moving that first inch, be aware of all your surroundings, and operate your equipment safely. We all have loved ones waiting on us when we get those doors closed.